Shalom, Mubaraka, Mispaka, peace and blessings, family. In this video, we're going to be talking about the legend of Eber and why it's a very important legend to know. I'm going to be smoking that good old sage. Y'all thought this was a marijuana joint. Nah, this is that good old sage. It improves the mood, it boosts cognitive function, it relieves the emotions, and it relaxes the nervous system. But on top of that, it releases negative ions, which has a whole range and array of positive benefits for the body. But the smoke that comes from the sage herb actually is a purifier. It kills germs and harmful bacteria and even viruses. And when you inhale this into your lungs, it will kill all the negative bacteria, potential viruses inside of your lungs. That's why it's very good for things like cold, flu, COVID, etc. I will also be burning lavender incense to set the mood, and I'll also be drinking that Echinacea Tea. Echinacea Tea is good to basically boost the immune system. You will not ever get sick if you drink this every other day. Echinacea Tea is very much so known to boost the immune system. So what is the legend of Eber? It's a legend, all right? So it may or may not be true, but more than likely it is 100% true because it kind of aligns with what the scripture tells us. Now, it's not written specifically in scripture, but it answers a lot of questions that are very much needed to understand scripture. Why did y'all make us to be a stiff-necked and rebellious people? You know what I'm saying? It's a really good question. When you understand the legend of Eber, you understand exactly why. See, it all starts during the time of Nimrod. And Nimrod was the king over the entire earth. This was back when everybody spoke the same language. And everybody was on one accord. Everybody was unified, right? So what happened? Nimrod told all mankind, we're going to build a tower to heaven so that we can worship the gods. And those gods were the fallen angels that came down. They believed that they went back up, so they had to build a tower to go up to worship those fallen deities who gave them that advanced technology. That's a whole different story. But when they built the tower, and when Nimrod was commanding all civilization on earth, when he was commanding all humans on earth to come on, we're going to construct this tower to heavens, he forced all mankind into labor. He forced them all into slavery. So what happened after that? There was a man named Eber. And Eber said no. Eber was the only one to stand up to Nimrod and say, no, I'm not going to do this. His real name wasn't Eber. We don't know his real name. Eber is a title. It means immigrant. He that crosses over. This is because he didn't want to listen to Nimrod. He didn't want to help build the Tower of Babel. So he took him and his wife and they crossed the river and they went to a land called Mesha. And in Mesha, Eber lived there with his wife and his sons Joktan and Peleg. And his sons Joktan and Peleg had children, and they all lived in Mesha, away from Babel. Everybody else lived in Babel. They was constructing this tower. But the children of Eber, they separated themselves. It tells you right there in Genesis that they lived in Mesha while everybody else was building the tower. So everybody else was in Babylon. They separated themselves. That's why Eber, that's why Eber was called immigrant. That was his nickname. He was called immigrant because he crossed over. So why is this important? This is important because Nimrod didn't believe in that. He didn't believe and a man ruling over him. He didn't believe in having somebody dictate his actions. He didn't believe in having somebody force him to do labor that he didn't want to do. Right? He didn't believe in that. Eber wanted to be free. Eber was free-spirited. Eber was rebellious. He was rebellious against society. Right? So anyway, he went out, he went his separate way, and he focused on what he was doing. He wasn't building no tower for rebelliousness. He rebelled against, because look, when the tower that Nimrod was building was to rebel against Yah, to rebel against the Most High. But the actions that Eber did was to rebel against man and to rebel against wickedness, right? Eber wanted to rebel against wickedness. So since Eber did this thing and lived in his own spot, lived away from Babel, when Yah came down to confound the nations, what happened? What happened? Eber's language was retained, right? So what does this mean? This means exactly what I said. His language was not changed. Everybody else's language was changed. All the other people who was in Babel, their language was confounded, but Eber retained that same language. So Eber spoke Paleo-Hebrew still. And that's really important because Paleo-Hebrew is the oldest language upon the earth. You understand that? Paleo-Hebrew is the oldest language, and this can be proven with linguistic studies that all languages on the earth originate originate with Shemitic language, especially like languages like Chinese. If you break down the Chinese alphabet, you will see that it's based on the book of Genesis. And that's a whole different topic. You can do research on that yourself, right? All the nations of the earth originate from Hebrew. You know what I'm saying? So this is just factual detail that you must understand, right? Paleo-Hebrew is the oldest language. That's why I'm going to start teaching it. That's why it's important for us to know it, because we have to retain, we have to remember our language that was taken from us, because we have the oldest language upon the planet, Paleo-Hebrew, or what they might also call Aramaic. Yah, seeing what Eber did, how he separated himself, he kept that language, and that language became known as what? Ibri, because of Eber. Eber retained the language. That's why the language is called Ibri, which eventually became Hebrew, right? It's called Hebrew because of Eber. This is why Eber is important, because he separated himself. He rebelled against the society. He rebelled against societal norms. This is a lesson for us. Don't do what that government tell you to do. Be free-spirited. Be rebellious against them. So what happened after Eber? Eber had Peleg. Peleg had Ra'u. Ra'u had Serug. Serug had Nahor. Nahor had Terah. Terah had Abraham. Now Abram had this rebellious spirit as well, because during his time in his society in the land of Eber, everybody was worshiping the sun and the moon and the stars. But here's the thing. Abram looked at the sun and he said, there's got to be something that made this. He looked at the moon and he said, this didn't make me. He looked at the stars and he said, this could not possibly have brought forth life. So Abram started to see the truth. Unlike all his peers who lived around him, Abram had common sense. Abram said, I'm going to worship the Great Spirit, the Creator. Him being the 10th generation after Shem, Yah looked upon Abram. He looked upon Abram with love. Because Abram was the first person to crack the code without being given the answers. He figured it out on his own. Everybody else was taught about Yah, but Abraham figured it out on his own. Do you understand? Abraham was genius. Do you see what I'm saying? So Yah chose him and his seed. Now, Abraham spoke Hebrew. Isaac spoke Hebrew. Jacob spoke Hebrew. We need to be speaking that language, man. We need to crack the code. But anyway, what did Abraham do? He rebelled. He did the same thing that Eber did. He left. He crossed over. He crossed over the Euphrates, and where did he go? To the land of Canaan. And he worshiped Yah in his land. So the parallels are there. I mean, it's simple. Why are the children of Yasharal stiff-necked and rebellious? Because our ancestors was stiff-necked and rebellious. Eber was stiff-necked and rebellious. If we even go to Shem himself, Ham was laughing at Noah's nakedness. Like, look, daddy naked. Japheth laughed inside his heart. But Shem found it utterly repulsive, and he was completely angered by the situation. And that's why Noah said, blessed be the God of Shem. He didn't say nothing about Japheth. And to Ham and Canaan, he was extremely mad, right? So, you know, but when it comes to Shem found the whole situation indecent. Shem was the first rebel. We got Eber, major rebel. Abraham, rebel. These people rebelled against wickedness, evil, wrongdoing. So it only makes sense for this to be some type of genetic thing within the mind. Genetic memory. Within our genetic memory, we are rebels. We should not act how they want us to. We should not be how they want us to be. In any society, we should not be how they want us to be. But you know what got messed up? We started rebelling against the righteous. We started rebelling against righteousness instead of rebelling against wickedness. This is when being stiff-necked and rebellious becomes a problem. Because stiff-necked and rebellious was originally a good thing. It was good because we was rebelling against society and we was rebelling against wickedness. But now all of a sudden we start rebelling against Yah. We start rebelling against righteousness. Do you understand? And that's not good. We were supposed to rebel against wickedness. So when we're around these nations and they're doing these detestable acts, our heart is so good, so nice. We want to be nice to everybody, that we start doing what they do. But let me tell you something about the nation of Yasharal. We are a blessing wherever we are. We are a naturally attractive people. Everything we do, everybody copies it around the world. We influence cultures around the world. Everybody wants to be us. Anything we do with any new thing we do with our hair, they will start doing it. If we will start walking a certain way, the other nation will start walking a certain way. If we start singing in a certain way or rapping, and if we start making our own type of music, they'll do it too. You see what I'm saying? If we start wearing our clothing in a certain way, they'll do it too. Y'all knew this. That's why he chose us to be a light to the people. We have the two major ingredients to be a chosen nation. This is why he chose the children of Yasharal. We have the two major ingredients. First of all, we're a trendsetter, so if we do righteousness, it'll become popular. And number two, we're stiff-necked and rebellious. This was a good thing. So when we see the wickedness, we were supposed to rebel against the wickedness, set the trend for righteousness, and make the world a better place. This is what we were supposed to do. This is how we were called. So to the children of Yasharal watching this video right now, be the light to the world. You understand? Make it a style to be good. Make it a trend to be righteous. Seriously. And be courageous. Stand on 10 toes about what you believe, about the truth. Y'all, you having a conversation with somebody and, pork comes up. I don't eat pork. Why not? Because Yah, the creator of heavens and earth, told us not to. Any pagan holidays, right? Whoredom, sleeping around, casual sex, drunkenness, tattoos. Say because Yah loved us, he gave us perfect and righteous commandments that we abide by, because these will increase our life. This is our style. This is our swag. This is what we do. This is why we're such an awesome people. And you got to let the nation know, but you're black. You got to stand on 10 toes and say, no, I'm not black. I'm an Israelite. I'm a child of Yasharal. You got to be able to stand on 10 toes and say, I'm an Israelite. Make that a norm, man. Make that a norm. I got 2 goals before I die. Number 1 is to find the remains of our artifacts in the Holy Land. Go to the real Jerusalem. Dig. Find some stuff. Show the world that that's our land. Number 2, make a burnt offering in a place where Yahuwah set his name. 20 bullocks upon the altar for the 20 centuries of Yasharal sin and transgression. It's time to rebel. It's the time of Yah's preparation. It's not time to flow with what the world trying to get you to flow through. It's not time to be like how they want you to be. It's time to stand up for righteousness. It's time to rebel. Do you understand that? This is real facts. And that's why it's important to understand the legend of Eber, because he was the original OG. Right? He let us know from the beginning it ain't worth it. Cause let me tell you something. You try to be like everybody else, you're gonna end up confused. Everybody else is building that tower. They didn't even, the words that they started saying, they didn't even understand them no more. But life is made easy when you just do what's right. Eber knew what was right. Please support 2 good friends of mine, Albert and Aviance LeBron. They just published a book for Israelite girls called Princess. It's even got the Paleo Hebrew alphabet inside of it. It's a nice little book. If you want to support these Israelite authors who make books for our youth, click the link in the description below.